Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Prismata. We're going to jump in the queue here and go watch a game that started just a couple minutes ago. Lorelei versus Alexander Johann. What is this? Base plus 10, we're on turn 6. Well, never mind. We have Flabagazda, base plus 9, 60 seconds. Ooh. Boy, there's some pretty aggressive red stuff here, but also, like, look at this green, right? Like, I don't... I mean, Husk's pretty cool, I guess, even, you know, for red, but... Without botch, like, red is certainly non-viable. With it, probably no good. Right? Like, if someone tries to go red rush against you, you just, like, cluster bolt them to death, is my thinking. And Nevo them if they, like, try to get blue as well. So I think that this is kind of a breach-proof thing. I think, though, that you might be able to actually, like, be breach-proof and have blue with Militia. That's, like, a pretty efficient thing to turn drones into. And you get walls, like, as a bonus. Right, if you go blue, defend for a little while with walls, and then, like, try to make sure you turn one drone per turn into a Militia. So that's kind of where the direction I'd like to go in. Blue-green with very few ordinary drones, the rest dynamos. That is to say, mostly dynamos and a couple of ordinary drones that I turn into Militia. Like, maybe even cycling one per turn to let me use my blue, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I can still afford DD next turn, though, to do that. I don't know, let's see what opponent's up to. I assume 1-1. Like, unless you wanted to go DA or something. But I don't think that's likely. And next turn, well, I was thinking, like, could you ever argue for getting an ISO next turn? I think the answer to that is probably no. Do you get the Forge next turn? Like, D1B is a pretty normal thing to do here. But I don't really want blue stuff right now. So it might actually be like a 1-1 kind of turn, or maybe D1C. D1C sounds kind of appealing. Because we're going to want a lot of green. Right? It's like the breach-proof drone in this set, in addition to Dynamo. This way I'll have 3 green next turn, which lets me, like, I don't know, I'll have 15 bucks, right? So I could buy the last 2 Dynamos and a Forge. I'd have I'd have 5 income and nothing to spend it on unless I wanted a wall, so the Forge is not so great. Yeah. Okay, well, I think the Conduit is still fine. Maybe you get like 1-4-4? No, you can't do that because you don't have any green. You go 1-4. D? No, you can't get a drone. One DC? Is that legal? Yes, it is. Actually, if you're getting a conduit, you can click this because you're not spending any blue, right? 1 DC doesn't involve spending any green. But it is certainly possible that I might want to forge here, right? Like, obviously this is no good. Oh no, I have 2 dynamos. This is fine. But not great. Like, maybe this is better, just float the 2. So I have, like, things to militia. I don't know, that seems kind of dumb. I'll do this, like... by, like, a splitter, or maybe a wall, if opponent's getting an attacker. And a drone, is my thinking. Could even get 2 drones. I'll have $13 if I want them. I don't know. Maybe the whole like militia thing is a pipe dream, and I should just like get ISOs. Yeah, I think walls are just going to be too big a liability. I don't really want this. Now I'll have access to 4 green. No, if I just keep 3 green and triple ISO next turn. That seems kind of cool against a blue player. God. I'm not very good at this, like, balancing whether to have any defense or not. I feel like what I've done is not correct, and that like getting some blue is somehow good. But I also feel like sinking attackers and like getting a shitload of green burst is really good, and that I couldn't easily work blue into that plan. ISOs don't really work against me. You might as well get Gauss cannons, I think. So we're attacking for 6, right? He has 6 defense just lying around. If we get this, it's a bit more difficult for him, right? He has to build a wall, and like we're still attacking for 10. Which is like 4, 7, 9. He needs a force field as well, right? So why don't we hit him with this as well? And just buy all the conduits? As like breach-proof drones? Next turn we can pile on, I'm not sure exactly how many ISOs, but 4 or 5 more ISOs? And he needs at least 2 force fields to defend, I'm pretty sure. Right, like we're attacking for 10. He has 4 defense, won't be using the splitter. He can build a wall, gets him to 6 available defense. 2 force fields is 10. He needs to force field all 3 drones and build a wall. Just to not get breached. Is that correct? Yes. So that seems pretty cool to me. Or he could force field 2 of them and hold the other, I guess. I'm not sure that would be better. He also has to hold the splitter, I think. Oh, that was a fast turn. Well played. I guess he didn't have to hold the splitter in this, Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, so he had to do all... He could have built 1 fewer force field, though, so I miscounted somehow. I love conduits. I wonder if we actually should have just like gotten more Nevos that turn, maybe? Probably not, right? I accidentally hit F there, is why it's talking about drones. But it didn't make the noise? Yeah, it didn't. There's no noise for this, actually. Interesting. So here we're attacking for 16, 20, 21. Like, I think it's about time to add Gauss cannons, right? Yeah. Okay. So, interesting game. I still think there was maybe a way to try to defend, but I don't know. Looking at the amount of burst available, you just get extremely little value out of being able to build walls, right? Like, let's imagine that I could build a blast forge that costs $0. I could just have access to a free blue every turn. How much value would that be worth for me? Would I spend it here? Would I use my blue? Build only 2 ISOs to get a wall? Yeah, probably. It's absorbing 1 damage this turn and probably some more another turn from now. I don't know though, like, this game was all about pressuring opponent, right? If I had 2 less attack here, it would be a lot less imposing. And like, already my wall is getting breached. No, it's not. I would have like a couple engineers left instead of, and my wall. Right, I'd have like an engie and a wall after this turn. And I wouldn't take 2 damage on my dynamo. So that's like 6-ish health for $5. It's a pretty good deal, but you know, it's not. I would take it if blue were free, but I wouldn't be like thrilled about it even. It would just be like fine. And considering that I would have to invest in a blast forge for that opportunity, and like figure out some way to save enough drones to militia them away, I just don't see that it actually would be worth doing. There wasn't like some reason to freeze a force field here, was there? No. He would happily just like do something. I don't know. The freeze didn't matter. Like, what I froze on the turn didn't matter. It was just that I bought the Nevo to make him have to over-defend. Once he's over-defended, like, it doesn't really matter what I click. So I think what we were doing here was, like, buying some Nevos? Maybe not. There's not much point in, like, threatening to breach when you're breaching anyway. Right, like this is 21. I could easily get 22 damage, or 24 if I cluster bolt, but then I'm like floating $9, which kind of stinks. Buy more conduits, I guess. It might be fine, actually. Just 2 more conduits and another cluster bolt. That seems pretty cool. Yeah, let's look at analyze mode. I think that actually is like a pretty reasonable line to take. Is to say, okay, well, I'm gonna attack you for 25 next turn. Like, imagine that I could add, like, instead of these 4 Gauss charges, that I added like a Gauss cannon and 2 Nevos. You know, that's threatening 7 instead of 4, so it's more threat. But the threat doesn't even matter, right? My opponent is getting breached. And, like, what am I breaching for? Maybe steel splitters. Like, probably not. Probably you kill dynamos and ISOs, but they're not, like, way better to breach than the splitters are. And so, you know, freezing them to attack something else is not nearly as good as just, like, doing more damage. So I assume opponent does this, right? Seems pretty reasonable. but like it's just clearly very sad news here. Oh, I don't know. Attack for some more, because why not? Take out a conduit. Try to go breach proof yourself. No. They're not on. Well, sync doesn't matter, right? Just buy the attackers you can afford. Sure. But now I'm in and I like turn off these two. And just keep adding more stuff. Actually, no, that's right. I'm floating green, not gold. I was thinking, oh, if I'm floating two, I should cancel ISOs and buy Gauss cannons. But no. Also, though, he can actually go back to defending this way if I do this. Is that okay with me? It's not even really that convenient. He has to... If I attack for 5, it is pretty convenient, actually. He just like builds a wall, hold the splitter. That's kind of poor value for me. There should be some better approach here. Okay, well, it doesn't really matter. There's not a lot more to say about that game, and it's been a pretty short episode, so I thought I should just get out of the analysis and try to get another game in. I try to at least break 20 minutes in an episode. Let's watch Jamboree versus Lorelei. Game has just started. Base +9, 60 seconds. What's going on here? Red-green. Whew. Also, like, Cauterizer Comet. I mean, it seems like Tia is a pretty serious thing to think about. But if you can prepare ahead of time with cauterizers, you should be okay. I don't know. We got Bonsai. Someone in the top 100, I think? Maybe top 50? And I think we've played against Bonsai on camera, but it's been a while. And I don't really have any recollection of like this player's habits, tendencies, or strengths. All right, base +5, 45 seconds. Well, I mean, there's some prominent freeze. The big attacker in the set is Plasma Fire, but Bombarder is big soak. And also some pretty decent threat. I feel like if you can get to the state where you have Bombarders versus Plasma Fire, the Bombarder will win. But if you can use Plasma Fire to stop your opponent from getting to that spot, you'll be reasonably happy. The freeze threat is like okay. I don't know, actually. Maybe Plasma Fire plus Cryo is like pretty good. Maybe that's enough to like stop someone who tries to get Bombarders. Like, Oxide kind of helps both of those builds. And we're really at a crossroads here. For Plasma Fire, you should get Conduit. For Bombarder, I think third Engie is correct. You could go for something kind of slower. I think it's just so natural to go blue-green as player 2 that, like, why don't I try the Plasma Fire thing, since it seems playable. And, like, there's Cryo Rays, so you're not really sad to have green, and it works towards your Plasma Fire game plan of smorking them down. I'm pretty sure this is right over getting a second Conduit. I don't need a ton of green right now. I want green eventually. I mean, I'm signaling pretty clearly Plasma Fire. I think my opponent is signaling Bombarder. What if I got another Conduit here instead of this drone? I'd have $15 next turn. I could get Plasma Fire, Cryo. It's not really very exciting. I could wait on buying the Plasma Fire, but I've discussed in previous videos that like doing that and then buying like Splitter Gauss Cannon is just not very impressive. So if I were waiting, it would be to buy like an Oxide Mixer and Conduits or something. Well, opponent's gonna try to get the Bombarder. A Plasma Fire doesn't actually stop them right away. Huh, this feels bad. What if I get this so that I have like a little bit of defense to allow me to still build a Plasma Fire next turn? And I get like Plasma Fire Gauss Cannon or something? Because opponent plans to threaten like 4, 5, 6-ish damage next turn. And a Plasma Fire and a Gauss Cannon is a pretty reasonable threat, I think. And then I'll just rely on Force Fields from there on, plus I guess Cryos. I think that's what I want to try. This Splitter is sort of a defender and sort of an attacker. This is the turn. We have to do this. No thinking. No thinking allowed. Bombarders and Pixie Holds are kind of interesting, I guess. This Plasma Fire click only does 3 damage, so like it's not as great as it could be, but we gotta catch in that damage and threaten, stop the Bombarders from clicking. What if I should have not gotten this Gauss Cannon so that I could threaten a second Plasma Fire right about now. That would have been pretty cool. Although, if they're clicking a Bombarder, I'll probably need a wall. Or a Force Field, right? I'll have to do something to defend. Actually, this Cryo sucks because opponent won't have an NG next turn. So let's not get it. I mean, I don't know. Pixie clicks don't really seem to matter. This is a lot of damage, it must be said. Okay, first of all, I can hold the Splitter, which is great, because opponent has to... And also opponent has to lose 1 attack, right? So this is defended. The Cryo still sucks. They won't have... Well, it makes it harder for them to hold drones. Do they want to hold a drone? I'll be attacking for 4, 8, 9. They're holding Bombarders 3. They need 6 more. So no, they don't want to hold a drone. I might as well Force Field this. I'm clearly going to be using... Well, no. I threatened to build a Plasma Fire, maybe, in some universe. Probably not. Oops, I have to at least do this. It's like, I don't mind if opponent clicks everything and frostbites my wall. My wall. In fact, do I even need to hold this? Can they click everything? If they wanted to, they could. I don't think they should, though. I'll offer them this little gambit to squeeze in an NG. I didn't expect them to be in a position where holding a drone would be good. So clearly I missed something here. Here they lose 1 attack. And probably have to hold 3 more, and they don't really want to click this, so they're at like 11, basically. So this seems pretty well defended, honestly. If I give him this breach, it's not that great. It is, though. I think they should hold the splitter instead of the bombarder here, and that lets them defend. Oh, but my wall is getting frozen. I don't know. They were always getting that value from me not having another absorber. Did I? Should I have? I think I misdefended and I should have kept a second wall. I always forget this is a possibility. I look kind of dead now. I don't know. I guess they're having trouble defending too. And if, like, they get to the state where these oxides are finished, they don't have much real attack left. This is dumb. They're just keeping 2 drones no matter what I do. Yeah, and they're just defended forever now, right? They have plenty of walls, and I'm not really attacking anymore. Yeah. Okay. I just like, I overestimated how hard it would be to get bombarders, or perhaps how quickly I could get plasma fire. Like, they were already set up right here to get one, right? My plasma fire wouldn't stop it. But maybe if I had just gotten the plasma fire earlier, they would have trouble actually being able to click it. I don't know, they had trouble anyway. I mean, plasma fire is sort of bad against soak, and bombarder is kind of soak. Which I knew, and I thought that, like, hey, maybe red blue would be the way to go. I sort of hoped that Cryo Ray would tip the scales, but I barely managed to get any because I was defending so much against the bombers. I mean, I guess the first thing to look at is like, what if I did just get the plasma fire here, right? They say, all right, I'm getting my bomber, like, enjoy. And I just start clicking immediately like a madman. Well, if I'm holding a drone, I really shouldn't have bought a drone, right? So wait, did I try this and... Oops. No, I just... If I'm buying the drone, I should also get an NG, that's all. Okay. NG is to defend against the bombarder threat, sort of, slash the oxide mixer threat. They're unlikely to actualize on all this threat, so I can consider trying to get like a drone or a conduit or something. But I think this is enough attack. So like, first question, can they really click this? Like, no. It's not very good to do so, because they want more bombarders, right? You can click for one, but like, why would you? And they get this Rhino, I guess. I don't totally remember what they did in the game. Man. They're just attacking so much. Okay, well actually they're losing an attacker, so this defends. Yeah, now the click does something. Might as well hang on to the pixies, although they're just killing engineers, so you also might as well spend them. Something like this defends. I get a free splitter hold. This looks a lot like what happened in the game, although I don't remember the details. I could force field splitter instead, but there's no real reason to. And here's the exciting part. Can they actually start clicking bombarders down to 0? Looks like yes. I don't know, let's float all the red. But in this line, I'm like sort of able to add attack. Like, I have a lot of real attack even when the plasma fire runs out. Instead of building force fields, I've been able to build Gauss cannon on these turns. Well, I think opponent gets another bombarder here, which is pretty cool. But they're not attacking? They're not doing any damage? Well, I guess you can do that, right? You can do this, but it's hard to defend, and you'd like to get another bombarder instead. Now my life gets difficult. Right, I'm not killing any attack. They get a breach for 2 if they click all bombarders and spend the frostbite. I don't know, I guess that's okay with me. Because, like, how easy could that possibly be for them to do? Come on in, get a couple drones. Now find 10 defense, right? I don't know, this? Could I actually like not click the Plasma Fire this turn, get some defensive value out of it? Or get some like... It does get defensive value, but it also lets me buy 2 attackers this turn instead of none. They're not very good attackers. I can get 1 this way, I guess. But then I hold the splitter instead. I feel like I'd rather just hold the Plasma Fire, honestly. But now, like, opponent has all this soak and has no trouble defending. Actually, they might hold here. Deny me Plasma Fire value? No, then I get wall value. I don't know. They get a 3rd Bombarder now, finally. And just sort of wait for me to kill myself, I think. They can handle 6 attack, 7 attack per turn, no problem, even if, like... I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, Bombarder is just a good unit. Like, who was I to think that I could go against the mighty Bombarder, right? Oh man, and they even exploit. That's the worst. Yep, okay, so I guess the lesson in this game is that, like, Bombarder is good, and Plasma Fire is also good, but not as good. I don't know. It's a pretty one-dimensional lesson to take away, isn't it? I mean, that line seemed a little more promising than what happened in the game. So I guess another lesson would be, like, just when you can buy a Plasma Fire and you plan to buy Plasma Fire, eventually don't put it off. There could be some, like, different opening that would get a Plasma Fire sooner. Like, clearly there is. It's sort of manifestly... if you do this, you get the Plasma Fire return earlier, but it's so not good, I think. I don't know, I feel like opponent would react to this by going for, like, blue-green just for walls and force fields and wait for me to die. You probably scare them off of Bombarders this way, but, you know, at what cost, right? Opponent just does this. Drones up and I don't know. If we're attacking for 5, they're not even gonna want to use an NG anyway, so yeah, in fact they just do this. Well, okay, maybe I shouldn't make them buy no attackers, but I do feel like, honestly, no attackers would win against what I'm doing here. Because either I don't click Plasma Fire and I'm just, like, down 5 drones, or I do click Plasma Fire and I kill myself pretty soon. Well... Again, I could have floated the Gauss Cannon to get a second Plasma Fire. Maybe that's the line I should be looking at. Or in the game, I remarked at some point that I shouldn't have gotten a Gauss Cannon, should try for a second Plasma Fire. I don't remember when that was, but it should be easy to find, and we can see if it would have been possible, whether it could have won. But okay, that's not happening here, so we go for something like this, right? We make opponent get a wall, but they don't really mind. Right? I'm just like not really doing much. I'm making them build wall NG every turn. So I have to add a lot of attack to make this worthwhile. This is comfortably defended. This is almost defended. It doesn't really make sense to buy these until they're actually doing damage. I think opponent would just out-drone me here. Right? And say, oh, you're dead pretty soon, and I'm just econing up. Yeah, this Plasma Fire Rush is not at all convincing if you do it this way. Because it's just so, like, trivially easy to defend. Doesn't really matter, but let's try to get one more of these so we can make it hard for them to keep an absorber around. But then they'll just keep both of these, right, and lose force field, NG. So I guess this is killing an NG. Might as well click it. And like, you see where things are? They're not good. That's where. Opponent just actually buys out the drones against this line. And spends it all on NGs and walls, and it's totally fine. And then one day they like actually buy some attack, right? And it's a little bit awkward because I'm attacking for enough to like these oxides are like making things a little bit uncomfortable for opponent. Did opponent forget to click their pixies last turn? Yeah. Oh, well, they shouldn't be clicking them because it's not... Okay. It's just, it could kill 3 NGs, but, like, you should save them to kill 4 NGs, right? And that would be if you swung with the splitter, even. So, really, it's like, this would be a terrible click. I was just confused because I saw 5. I was like, shouldn't opponent have killed my NGs? But no. I don't know, splitter? Okay, well, this is maybe not the best. A Rhino defends. Yeah, this is the best, in fact. It's great. Just get more force fields so you can keep bombarding me. And now I have to do this, and like this is my last attack ever. I guess I might as well do this to deny absorb. Oh, opponent... I made them misdefend on this turn again. Now I can't actually do that. I could do this to deal 1 damage. I guess that's better than these cryo rays are going to get anytime soon. But you can see that it's clearly going nowhere. Like I have 17, opponent has 12. Like they could do something like this, for example, and it's my last attack, and then they're just defending against 5, and it just, they don't care at all. In fact, this Rhino click does nothing, Splitter click does nothing, so you don't need as much stuff. You just say, alright, well, this... I'll gambit both of these attackers, because if you actually attack with the Plasma Fire, you're just dead. You know, that's a line opponent could take. I forget why we embarked in this analysis. Oh, looking at... Was this when I rushed in a much earlier Plasma Fire? I think so. Yeah, I got this, like, very early Plasma Fire. Yeah, it clearly doesn't work at all. So first of all, the Gauss Cannon I bought along with the Plasma Fire, I could consider even that one floating, right? But... like... how much would I need to defend here? Let's say I had 23 and 4 green and a blue. Like, I don't know, I don't see anything really clever. But this is actually the one I had been looking at in the game, so let's try taking this one back. And just get a million NGs so that I can actually buy the second Plasma Fire. Now, funnily enough, Wall gives me a mild exploit by holding Splitter. Because I don't have an extra attacker. I'm not sure how amazing that really is, but okay. No, because they get the Rhino anyway. Yeah. I should be making sure to keep the extra walls because of the frostbite threat. So anyway, we go in like this, kill wall, and we grab the second Plasma Fire, right? And maybe this is where I can actually make something happen. On the other hand, maybe not. Right, this actually doesn't look winning at all. This defends against the Gambit, but I don't know. They probably could Gambit if they really wanted to. I'm only actually threatening 10 if they reach for the Splitter. And they're at the point where they should be starting to click Pixies anyway. So it's just like swinging for these Bombarders to stop me from getting absorbed. I think it might be worthwhile. Since I don't offer it, they don't take it, obviously. I don't know. I have no idea how many Pixies to click. Let's say the number is 0. Yeah, 2 Plasma Fires does not seem to be fixing the problem at all. They just still defend very comfortably. And I'm dying even like faster. There you go, got him. Cryo raise, baby. And like, they don't have a lot of real attack. That's nice anyway. But I'm about to die and they're nowhere close. They just easily defend with walls, grab some NGs. And I'm dead here. I mean, I could live through the turn, but clearly not a winning play. So, like, just Plasma Fire was the wrong idea. I looked at several variations on a Plasma Fire line, and they all get absolutely demolished. I guess Bombardment is just not as awkward to get as I thought it would be. Something I noticed in the game and pointed out during some of these analysis replays, of course, is that, you know, it really would be better to keep 2 walls around because of Frostbite threat. Q doesn't know that, and so it lost Wall, Force Field, Wall for maximum granularity, which is correct, but actually what I need is maximum number of absorbers. I have plenty of granularity, so this would be the correct defense. Although, you know, given that they took a breach anyway, I got 0 absorbed either way on that turn. No, they didn't breach. They couldn't afford it. So making that defense differently would have prevented my opponent from cashing in the Frostbite for 2 damage. I don't know that it was actually correct for them to cash in the Frostbite for 2 damage, to be honest. I think that they should have kept it because 3 threat was, like, even better, and they could eventually turn that 3 threat into, like, 2 damage plus killing some drones more quickly. Is that correct? I don't know. I guess it's just... It feels like 3 damage when you freeze something and then breach so they don't get to keep the wall. But it's actually only 2, because the 2 damage the wall absorbed is all that's actually negated, not the 3 damage the wall healed to. Anyway, I don't know, the math doesn't matter. We got killed here. That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.